we're back with Legends of Lake Howell. Today we have a special 50th anniversary edition of Legends of Lake Howell with our superintendent, Ms. Beamon. Ms. Beamon, thank you for joining us.
It is a pleasure to be here.
So we'll start with the first question, and we'll talk about your career. You are an attorney and a superintendent. Is that something that you always wanted to do, both of them?
No, not, both kind of evolved over time. Initially, I went to school ultimately to become an attorney, but it was a very different type of attorney at the time, and really learned about the whole field of education law. While learning about different law types and going to law school, I had the opportunity while in law school to intern in the general counsel's office of FAMU University. So I really saw firsthand what the practice of education law looked like, and learned that there were every number of public schools, private schools, public universities, private universities, and they usually had a team of attorneys to help them to make the system work. And so that's what I ultimately ended up doing, is becoming the attorney for Seminole County Public Schools, and then really learned about the business of making sure that kids have the free and appropriate public education, but also an education that really speaks to them individually. And so that's how it evolved over time. I really enjoyed being a part of the team for Seminole County Public Schools that makes our system special.
So a lot of people, they see the superintendent and they may not have a good grasp of what the superintendent actually does. So tell us what a day looks like for you.
Well, depending upon the week, but a day usually looks like, first of all, I love being in school. So like today, I've been to two different schools and had an opportunity to talk with the leaders, the principals at those schools about the instruction that's happening in their classrooms, the different things that are making their communities unique and making it work for their students. So that's typically during the week, at least 3 days of my week, I'm at two schools. That's what I like to shoot for that. At least once a week, we have what I call a cabinet meeting. So we have a number of assistant superintendents, a number over instructional areas, assistant superintendents over operational areas, and we all get together and process and make sure that our system is moving forward in the way that it should. So that's at least half a day every week. We also have board meetings and a number of workshops. And so that's the business of the governing board getting together to create policies and make sure that the policies that they have are being enforced in all of the different schools in the county. So board meetings, workshops, being in schools, having those meetings to make sure that the management of each of the individual schools is moving forward in the right way. That's a typical week. Throw in a couple of great celebrations, football games and music festivals, and it's really busy, and it really is a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, I put my head on the pillow and I think, I'm living a pretty good life.
So you're here in Lake Howell's new facility, and this is one of the facilities that was designed while you were superintendent. Why is up-to-date facilities, why is that important to you?
Because the environment that our students are learning in is important to me. I think it's part of what makes that all-around experience for our students one that is healthy, and one that means that they can focus on learning. And it's not just about nice environments. It's about, do those environments speak to the way that we want to educate our students? I know that you have a number of instructional kind of nice nuance in this building that is about providing education for students. And I love being a part of that. I've been thankfully a part of that for a number of years to see how the way we are creating our structures really impacts the instruction that happens for our students. So lots of good stuff happening.
So speaking of construction, we've got a sales tax coming up. Do you want to tell us about the sales tax and what it means?
Absolutely. In Seminole County, and this is the 4th generation, so every 10 years, the 7 municipalities, the county, and the school board have together gone out to our community to say, please renew this tax, which allows us to then do a number of things for capital for our infrastructure in our school system. For us, we have a number of renovation projects that are on our project list for the cities. They have a number of road and park projects, and it's all about taking those dollars that about a third of it is actually paid from individuals outside the county that are coming into our county, but we're using it to modernize our facilities and really make sure that we are doing those things that are needed from a capital perspective in our schools. The district receives 25% of the sales tax. So it is a huge amount that allows us to keep up to date with our facilities.
So at the risk of sounding selfish, are there any projects slated for Lake Howell High School?
There is a project on the 4th generation sales tax list, and should our constituents renew that tax, then that project will be completed here, hopefully very soon.
Good. Now, again, as I stated, we're celebrating our 50th year, and we've had a number of people who've had an impact on our school, very positive impact, and one being Mr. Raymond Gaines. Can you talk about how he inspired you?
Absolutely. I met Mr. Gaines. I was a young attorney. On the 4th floor, he was on one side of the hallway, I was on the other, and we had a number of things that we worked on together. A number of lawsuits where I was told to prepare Mr. Gaines. I was like, you don't prepare Mr. Gaines? Mr. Gaines is ready. And so, but he was a very patient educator. He was thoughtful and so particular. One of my fondest memories is watching opposing counsel try to ruffle Mr. Gaines, and it didn't work. It didn't work, and I loved watching him work. And he had a real love for kids and for people as a whole. And I remember walking into the hospital room of one of my very best friends, her mother, and there sat Mr. Gaines, really talking with her and praying with her. He was just an all-around good person. So lots of fun memories.
Let's talk about Miss Beamon as a student. So we're going to go back to your high school days. Now, I know that you were not a graduate of Lake Howell High School, but you are a Seminole County graduate. So where did you attend school?
I attended school all throughout. So Idlewild Elementary, did a year at Hamilton, then Greenwood Lakes Middle School, and I graduated from Lake Mary High School. I am a Ram. And my years in Seminole County Public Schools, I think, really set me up for success in my future. And it's one of the things that makes me passionate about what we're doing together for our students and their futures.
Now, did you participate in any sports or any extracurricular activities?
I was not a very athletic student. I did try softball. It was very hot in the outfield there. I tried dance, and while I'm pretty good at it, I'm not enough. And so I like to joke that my sport of choice was reading. Avid reader, read all the time, and usually you found me when I was not in school or at work, or I was probably curled up somewhere with a book.
So what was your favorite subject? Did you have a favorite subject?
I did. I loved history, and I will say, well, I preferred writing English, but I loved U.S. history, and my favorite teacher of all time, including undergrad, law school, all time, was Jan Blackwelder at Lake Mary High School. And I think I loved history because of her and because of her class.
Well, you answered my next question, which would have been, who inspired you? What educator inspired you? Sometimes we have people who struggle to answer that question because they have so many, but thank you for answering that.
Well, and I will share with you, Mr. Howard, that when I was in undergrad and I was kind of looking around at the different areas I was interested in, I did a semester in the education college and was doing an internship at DeLand High School. And one of the projects was to write back to an educator that had really made an impact on you. And I wrote to Ms. Blackwelder. And she wrote back and remembered me, and I wasn't surprised that she did, because that's who she is, and that's who she was at the time.
Now, one of the questions that we ask all of our legends, and this is, I believe, the 22nd episode, is if you could describe your high school experience in one word. It doesn't have to be, if you don't have one word, if it's more than one word, tell me what would that word be?
I'll go with foundational. Okay. See, now you want me to explain why, right? See, I do think that my education provided me with that foundation to always look to learn a little bit more, to know that knowledge is power, and it also taught me that with each thing that you learn, you can always, it's like a building, like a stepping stone to that next thing. So I would say that it's foundational, the education that Seminole County Public Schools provided to me.
So our last question that we have is some advice. If you could go back to 9th grade and you could give Ms. Beamon with all the information that you have today, what advice would you give to yourself?
Okay. I would say don't let fear of failure stop you from trying. There's a lot of things that I think our young folks think, well, I have to be great at it, right away, right from the start, or in this year, next year. And there's trust the process. Failure over time just means you're learning, and you will get there. And to not be afraid of the fact that you have to have those kind of ups and downs to get to where you want to be.
Well, Ms. Beamon, I think that's the perfect ending. Thank you for joining us, and as always, go Silverhawks, stay Hawk strong.